everyone, and welcome to Books Unbound, the podcast where we unbind books to get to their hearts with your hosts, us. It's married Ariel and married Raylene.
That's crazy. You're a wife.
Oh my God, I have a husband.
Yeah.
Oh, he's such a cutie pie.
So cute. Oh my gosh. Wow.
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 Wow. Wow.
The energy
We
is
have
electric.
a lot to talk about today.
Jeez, yeah.
We're honestly a little intimidated. We also totally forgot how to record the podcast.
I just
when
realized
we
my
were
phone
setting
is not on Do Not Disturb. We've just lost the plot. We've lost the plot over here completely.
We completely forgot how to do anything. I set everything up. I was like, wow, it's kind of easier than I remember to set up. And then I was like, that's because you didn't set up the entire camera at all. And then Raylene had the exact same thing with her microphone.
Yeah,
Just don't
no
need a
microphone. I did everything, but I had no mic. Don't know how
We've
that's
been
gonna work.
away. We've been away.
We're in
for a
vacation mode
while.
still. It's time to snap back to reality.
We're waking up.
Mm-hmm.
We're waking up from a long slumber. And you know what? I was saying to Raylene, I've got some serious back to school vibes going on, you know?
Mm-hmm.
September, if you live in the West and you're on kind of a Canadian type system where it's like back to school is September time. So it always, I feel like for the rest of our lives, there's going to be a back to school thing in the air.
Oh, yeah.
Right? Because
Absolutely.
you spent your entire upbringing, September means you're going back to school. Kind of scary, but also exciting, right?
Mm-hmm.
New backpack. New pencil case.
Some new clothes,
Fall.
new shoes.
New clothes. Oh my God. So exciting to get your new clothes.
Yeah.
Ah! You get like one new sweater.
Yeah, like why don't I do that? I should operate on that system.
Oh, exactly. But I was saying to Raylene before we started recording, I was like, you know what? I'm actually seriously feeling some back to school vibes because as an adult, how often do you go on a 2-week vacation where you truly are not checking your phone? You're not like, I was like, and we'll talk about the honeymoon. Wow. What a trip. But like there were huge areas where we did not have signal. So it wasn't that I couldn't even check it if I wanted to. So there was like no responsibility, completely off the grid. I had my out of office on my email. I'm like, I'm not responding to email for 2 weeks, you know? Usually, like I travel quite a bit, but I'm always working while I travel. That's how I get to travel. It's because I have to work through it. I wasn't working at all. And so I took these 2 beautiful weeks off. Also, the 2 weeks before it were kind of off because they were for the wedding. Mm-hmm. So I kind of feel like I've been gone for a month. And now I've come back. It's fall. I've got to get back to work, you know? And I'm like turning systems back on. I got a new backpack. Like, I just feel like the whole thing is, we're back, baby.
Yeah.
And I'm so excited to be back on the podcast. And we have a really great episode because we're going to talk about the wedding, which is obviously deeply, deeply exciting.
Oh, yeah.
I'm going to talk about my honeymoon. Raylene also went on some fun trips. And we have so many books to haul. This is basically, we're going to tell our story through our book haul because we have so many books.
And I went to many places, found many things.
Crazy. So, Raylene, I have a couple questions written down here.
Ooh, okay.
Have you seen any trees whose leaves are turning?
Oh, a little bit. When I was in BC, I saw a couple that were like, just the slightest little bit. Not enough to be like, oh, it's really here. But me and my friends were like, guys, fall's just around the corner.
Just around the corner.
And for me, it's actually a lot of different plants that like cropped up during the summer that I just like see when I go for walks around town that are now dying. That's more what I'm seeing rather than trees so far. It's kind of like, oh, those thistles that like were blooming like crazy in July are now like dead. And
they're done.
They're drifting away in the wind, you know? Like, so I can really feel that summer is ending, but it's not completely
All
gone
right.
yet.
My next question. Have you had a pumpkin spiced latte?
Yes, actually, this is a great question because you and I both had our first pumpkin spice lattes of the season on the same day without even realizing it. We don't usually chat about our coffee consumption, but you sent me a photo of you and Connor and CJ with your pumpkin spice lattes, and I was like, that was literally me like 3 hours ago. Like Kyle and I went, we were like, let's go get our first PSL. We got to do it. And we went to the zoo after, so because there's been a lot of action at the zoo lately. So
that's so awesome. Yeah, basically, like this year, I mean, okay, fall is the best season.
Ugh,
I don't care what anyone has to say out there. I know the truth. And it's that fall's the best. It's so beautiful, like especially in Canada, right? The leaves are all turning. Yeah. The temperature is finally, it's like sweet relief. Even though I love the summer, I love when it's hot because it means I get to go swimming outdoors. But like when it's starting to cool off and you're like, maybe I could wear my sweater. Actually, or maybe I could be a little cozy. Like
I am a boots girl. Like if I could wear boots year round, I would, because that's my number one shoe type, and it makes me so sad that I have to wear like sandals,
anything else,
sneakers. Give me back my boots, okay?
There's all these beautiful things that start to happen and just like become so much cozier, and like it's this perfect temperature and weather for outdoor and indoor activities. Unlike then winter, which is so cold and miserable in Canada that you're just like, oh, yeah. So anyway, I love fall so much. And this year, it just felt like I'm just so excited for. I mean, I think I'm excited for it every single year. And I really try and lean into all of the seasons. But this year, I'm just like so excited for fall. And so the second it turned September 1st, I was like, Connor, we need to go and get pumpkin spice lattes with CJ when we're back home.
Yeah.
Like, I want to make an event of it. And so we got back home and, well, we were back in Halifax for the weekend. And we were like, CJ, let's meet tomorrow, 9:15 a.m. at Starbucks, which, by the way, I don't remember the last time. I actually think the last time I went to Starbucks was when you and me went in BC. Like,
oh my God. I still have a photo from that.
Yes. I never go to Starbucks, but like it is like the holy grail of pumpkin spice lattes, right? Go. So I was like, we got to go there. So we went to Starbucks, we got our pumpkin spice lattes, and we all cheers to fall. We had our little sip and we're like, woo hoo! Even though it was like not really cold out.
Like it's been so hot, but we were like, well, it's fall now because it's September, even though I know technically it's not fall yet until the 22nd or whatever, but I don't believe that.
I don't believe September is fall. September is fall, even though it can be warm at the beginning. Yeah. Oh man. Anyway, okay, so here we are. We're back. It's been a crazy couple of weeks, and we're very excited to do this haul and to talk through everything that's gone down. So we're going to begin with Raylene, because Ray, you did a trip before anything like wedding kicked off.
I left on July 31st and returned August 8th or something. So it was like the first week of August was my trip to BC to go visit my family and visit my friends and go camping. So before I left though, I do have one book to haul that just like has nothing to do with anything. I ordered it online and it just showed up like a couple days before I left. So I was like, oh my gosh, I gotta make sure to haul this book. And that book is Off Balance by Dominique Moceanu, which is a gymnastics memoir that I have been meaning to get for ages. It's one of those books that I've been hunting for and hoping to find at thrift stores because it came out probably in the 90s, I would assume. It might not have, but it came out 2012. Okay. So I was expecting to find this at a thrift store, and I've never gotten lucky, and so I just ordered it, and it's I'm just very, very excited to have that. But then of course, flying home, I already knew also that I was going to have a massive stack because my mom has been picking up books for me at the used bookstore. I have my little list and they call me and say, hello, would you like this book? And I say, yeah, sure. I'd like that book. My mom will come pick it up. And they're like, okay, no problem. So I have this huge stack. But before I got to that, like I went camping literally the next morning after I arrived. So I arrived in BC on July 31st at like 8 p.m. and went to sleep, woke up, and went camping. So like the books didn't even really come into things before that. Although Rebecca and I, so we went and set up the campsite. Julia had to work that day. So we were like, okay, no problem. We'll like get everything set up. And when we were coming back, we were like, well, we've got some hours to kill. Like, what should we do? And so naturally we're like, let's go thrifting. And so I'll start with those books.
I've never heard of a camping trip that included thrifting before.
That's because I was supposed to say you don't know me, but you do know me. So you've never met me before. Yeah, we just had some time, and there was a thrift store that we used to go to all the time because we used to work close by where we were, and we were like, let's just go back there for nostalgia's sake and to kill some time. So we went, and I found some pretty random books. So first up, I've got White Noise by Don DeLillo.
Oh, yeah.
This one, I bought it because it's such a pretty edition. Like, it's this beautiful Penguin edition, Penguin Classics, Penguin Orange collection, to be specific. And Rebecca was with me, and she was like, oh, I have that book. I've been meaning to read it. We should buddy read it. And so I was like, well, okay. I don't need to know anything.
That's such a death knell. That's such a deth knell when you're with a friend, and they're like, we could buddy read it. And you're like, well, now I've got to get it. It's for the friendship.
So I bought this without really knowing anything about it because it's beautiful and with the promise of a buddy read. So I bought that. And then the next book is also fairly random, and it was just because my mom, the day before we went camping, she was like, look at the stack of books I just picked up. And then I discovered this book in her stack, and then I found it at the thrift store. We Begin at the End by Chris Whitaker. And this is the author who wrote another book that I own, the title of which I can't remember right now. And I haven't read it yet, of course, but... It's like a thriller, you know, it's like a psychological thriller, and I am really excited to read that other book. And so and my mom was so excited about this for some reason. So I was like, whatever, maybe I'll buddy read it with my mom.
It's for the relationship.
I'm doing it for my friends and family, okay?
I gotta bond with my friends and family.
Oh my gosh.
So funny.
And then the final book I got, it's also, like, this is going to be the randomest haul ever, but I got Hopscotch by Julio Cortázar, which is a book that I have been wanting for a long time, but I don't remember why. It's one of those things where, like, 8 years ago, I, read a bunch of reviews or something and was like, wow, that sounds exquisite. It sounds so good. I've had it on, wish lists for ages. Every time Rebecca goes to a book sale, I send her a list of my wish list, and this has been on it. So I was like, Rebecca, look what I found. And she was like, it's the book you've been looking for. And I was like, why do I want this? I don't remember. So I really don't remember, a lot about the plot anything. But it's, gets amazing reviews. It's by a Latin American author who I've just been wanting to check out. There's a couple other books by him that I've heard of that I really want to get. So anyways, that's my little thrift haul. A classic thrift haul of just pure randomness.
Yeah. I have a question for you.
Please.
When you went camping, were you able to light a campfire? Were you allowed to do a campfire?
No.
There's
always a fire ban in the summer. In BC.
Yes, that's very interesting because there has not been fire bans for that long in Nova Scotia. It's a thing. It's not an unknown variable, but it's the last 2 years have been pretty droughty and dry, and we've had some pretty serious fires. And this year, the fire ban, usually it's you check. At 2 p.m. it refreshes every day on the website.
Oh, yeah.
And you check and you're like, oh, we're allowed to do fires today. So it's kind of some days yes, some days no. But this summer it's just no fires. You are not allowed to set fires. Can't obviously not set fires, but do campfires or any fire related activity, fireworks are banned, all these sorts of things.
Yeah.
And I really wanted to go camping for my birthday, and I'm a little bit what is camping without the campfire? So I wanted to ask you about
for your birthday, because, last year, my friends and I went camping, about a year ago as well, but we went in April, and it was totally fine. We were allowed to have a campfire.
Right, because you're outside of the season, yeah.
Yeah, it was raining, so it's fine. So I think if you go in the spring and fall, there's a lot more leeway. It's pretty much just, July and August is, always a no-go. At least
how did you feel about camping without a campfire?
I mean, it sucks a little. It does always suck just a little bit more because, you've got to, turn on a stove just to make some tea. It's nice when you can just plop your little kettle on the fire. Roasting marshmallows is special.
Yeah, that's such a vibe. And, staring into the fire, talking with your friends.
Well, exactly. You stay up a lot later and, hang out around the fire because you're warm and it's nice. Yeah, it does kind of lose a little bit of the magic, but I do prefer camping in the spring. When we went in the spring, it was more of a fun camping vibe. This time, it was just fun friendship vibes, and that was good too.
Yes,
but
that's cool.
The plus side is that it was warm enough to swim, and so we swam
a big benefit.
A lot. Yeah, so I'm willing to trade fire for swimming. If I couldn't have fire or swimming, then it would be what's the point?
What are we doing out here, folks? What the hell are we doing out here?
Exactly. So
that's interesting.
Yeah, it was still good though. It was still lovely. We had a great time. We were camping for 3 nights. And every single night, my air mattress deflated because it was busted. Rebecca brought all the camping stuff, so I can't really complain. I didn't do any work, but our mattresses were not the best.
That's so
So
funny.
it was like every morning I was like, oh, guys, we got to go do yoga right now because my back hurts so bad.
Did you guys do yoga in the woods?
Not in the woods this time. Like we did that last time. We found like a weird little secluded spot, but we were at a totally different place this time. And so we just did yoga by the lake every morning. Which
that
was
sounds
really nice.
amazing though.
Yeah. Yeah. It was really nice. And we went for lots of walks and just had a good time. It was really lovely. And there was a bear in the area the entire time we were there. When we showed up, there was a sign at the front of the campsite that said "Bear in the area, last spotted today."
Whoa.
And we were like, "Whoa!"
Did it say what kind of bear?
It was a black bear.
Yeah.
And so like we knew there was a bear around, so we were really being really careful. Everyone was being really careful. But on the second or third night, we were laying there just trying to fall asleep, and all of a sudden, people start screaming, "Bear! There's a bear behind you! Bear, bear, bear!" Everybody starts like turning on their alarms on their cars and stuff. And we were just laying there like,
oh my God.
what are we supposed to do? So we just stayed there and it was fine. They scared the bear away and it was all good. But
Yeah.
it was like,
That's
whoa.
Awesome.
Yeah.
This reminds me, I think I've told this story before, but one time I went camping with two of my friends and there was a raccoon trying to get into our tent. Like it was like circling and like pawing, and we had no food out or anything. We'd done everything properly, but obviously it was just clever. Raccoons are pretty smart. And my friends just were so anxious. They could not sleep. Like they were like, we can't sleep. Like this is so stressful. Because it doesn't matter how big the animal is. Even if it's just a mouse trying to get,
you don't want it to come in and bug you.
You want a rodent, an animal. Anyways, so I just told them the entire plot of the 3 Pirates of the Caribbean movies in insane detail.
That's
like
amazing.
I love those movies. And so I just like shot by shot, I'm like, foggy ocean scene. We see a beautiful British ship enter the waters. What are they doing out here?
That's awesome. That'll put a person to sleep.
It worked. And actually the next day I remember my friend Kelly being like, thank you so much for doing that. That was very like, we needed that. And I'm like, I loved it. That was awesome.
I mean,
anyways,
yeah,
I'm glad that you didn't get attacked. I'm glad you didn't get attacked by a bear.
Yeah, it was all good. It was great. So overall, it was just like a nice, peaceful camping trip. I had a good time with my friends.
Funny. People are listening to this and they're like, it was peaceful, but you almost got attacked by a bear.
Nah. The bear doesn't scare me. I love black bears. I've never seen one in the wild.
Cute.
Like this was the closest I've ever come to a bear in the wild, but the black bears at the zoo have become some of my favorite guys.
Oh, that's awesome. There
really
were
like
so
them.
many black bears when I lived in Quebec, interestingly, and they don't eat people, for anyone who's worried. They eat berries and stuff, and so they're like pretty harmless, but they are bears, so they can do damage.
Yeah, one of like my friend Rebecca was saying that her sister had been camping at the same place like a week before, and they saw a bear. A bear came up while like they were just sitting around, just chilling. There was a bag of chips on the picnic table. The bear walked up, picked up the chips, and walked away with it on his hind legs.
Oh my God.
He just took it. It was like, bye. Which I thought was pretty hilarious. And I was like, well, we're not going to leave chips out, so I think we'll be okay. So I wasn't scared.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I love that. I love that. All right. So then you picked up all these books from your mom, right? Is that the next thing?
Yeah. So when I got back from camping, I was just hanging out with my mom and my brother. And so my mom was like, come look at your big pile of books. And I was like, okay, I'm kind of scared because I don't remember what any of them are. But I will just quickly walk you through the huge stack that I have here. So first at the top of the list is a book that I just rebought basically, which is Julie Chan is Dead by Liane Zhang, because I had an ARC copy of this. I was sent an ARC and I love this book so much that I was like, I need to have a finished copy. And I got lucky with a used copy there. I also got lucky with the second book in the Sabriel trilogy, which is by Garth Nix, Lirail. And so now I have the whole trilogy, which is exciting. It's always fun to have a whole trilogy when you haven't read a single one and you don't even know if you're going to like it. But I am very excited to have that ready when I decide to get into fantasy again.
Yeah.
And then next up is The Hellbound Heart by Clive Barker. I've never read a Clive Barker book, but this one seemed like a good place to start. Seems like a good spooky little read. And look how huge the font is. It's actually kind of crazy.
That is kind of crazy.
It's a really short book and it seems really spooky and messed up. So I have this at the top of my list to read in October. We'll see if I get to it, but I'm really hoping to read that. And then Next up is another book I've already read, Under the Skin by Michelle Faber, which is a book that I read a few years ago. And I wouldn't say I loved it because it's so weird. Like, this was a book that I read and I was like, that was so strange. But ever since I read it, I've been wanting to reread it. And I had borrowed it when I read it originally. So I was like, I need that book. So for like 6 years or something, I've been just trying to find a used copy and finally got it. So I'm excited to own that so I can reread it eventually.
Cool.
This is the one that was made into the movie with Scarlett Johansson, for anybody who might be wondering. And the book and the movie are completely different in vibes and plot and like, yeah, she's like a weird alien. It's a really cool, weird book.
It's a very vibey movie.
Yeah, I would say the book is like 10 times stranger. Like if you take that movie and just think wacky and weirder, but it's really, really good in a weird way. Like it's one of those books where you're like, I don't love it because it was like confusing, but I like the vibes.
But maybe you'll love it on second read.
Exactly. That's a great thought. And then next up, I got Chain Gang All-Stars by Nanakwame Adjei-Brenyah, which, if you guys may remember, back at when I went to the big book sale in May, I found his short story collection. I was manifesting to find this book, and I found the short story collection instead. And you'll never believe it, within like a week or two, the used bookstore back home found it for me.
Ain't that the way?
It was crazy. I put in a request, and within like a week, I think, they found it. And I was like, that's crazy. And this one, I am so excited to read this. This is kind of like a dystopian prison system where there's like a fight club thing happening. It seems really Black Mirror and just sounds really up my alley. So I'm so excited to own that now. Okay, just a couple more in this section of my haul. It was crazy when I saw this stack, and fitting them in my suitcase was really interesting.
That's awesome.
So the next one I got is Long Bright River by Liz Moore, which is exciting because Liz Moore wrote The God of the Woods, my favorite book of last year. And so I've been wanting to pick up something else by her. And my mom also just got this book and read it and loved it. So that's a good review. This one seems really cool. It's about a woman who is a police officer and her sister's been missing for a long time. So it's like those things combining to make an interesting plot. I'm intrigued.
Has your mom read God of the Woods?
Yes, actually, yeah. For her, either for Christmas or for her birthday, I bought her The God of the Woods, as well as a couple of other books that she wanted, and she read it and loved it. So,
did she tell you which one she likes more of the two?
No, I haven't asked, but I should.
Oh,
that's a good question. I have no idea. Okay, next up, I've got The Full Moon Coffee Shop by Mai Mochizuki. So yeah, this is one that was a very popular Japanese kind of cat book, cozy vibes, and I've just been hoping to find it for a long time and got very lucky with that. It's been a while since I've read a cat book, actually, so I'm like, maybe this could be the next one.
You know what you have to do? You have to stamp it with that book stamp I made you.
Oh, you're so
right. For the cat books.
Yes. I actually was thinking about that stamp the other day. I was like, man, I would love to use that stamp again. I wonder when I'll get to use it again. And then I forgot. So that's perfect. I'll definitely make sure to do that. Okay, and then the final book from this segment of the haul is a huge one. Death's End by Sushin Liu, which is the third book in the Three Body Problem trilogy. And it's huge. It is the hugest one. And I think I got the second book from like the same situation where my bookstore was looking for it and they found it for me. I just got it on different trips. So now I have books 2 and 3, so I can read the rest of them. So
do people like the whole trilogy?
Yeah, the whole trilogy seems to be pretty well loved. So I'm pretty excited about that. And I have been, like, we'll talk about books that we have read and are reading next time we record, but like I've been in a sci-fi mood for sure. So I'm definitely excited to see how long it lasts. with
That's
being in fall, I think horror is going to take over, but it is always nice. Although so that was all the books I got from my used bookstore haul. I do have one more book from BC, so to finish it all off. So after I got back from camping, after I got all my books from my mom, I was actually just like going to work for that whole other week that I was there, because back home is where my job is. I just work remotely now that I'm in Calgary, but I was just going to work, and one day on my lunch break I was like, I'm just going to walk around and see how the town looks different now that I've been gone for a while. And I discovered a bookstore. Like there's a new bookstore there, which was so exciting because there hasn't been a bookstore in that area for a while now. And so I went in And of course, I had to buy something. And I came across this book called Dinner on Monster Island by Tanya de Rosario, which is a collection of personal essays. But I just want to like read a little bit off the back because this is what convinced me to buy it. In this unusual, engaging, and intimate collection of personal essays, Lambda Literary Award finalist Tanya de Rosario recalls growing up as a queer, brown, fat girl in Singapore, blending memoir with elements of history, pop culture, horror films, and current events to explore the nature of monsters and what it means to be different. So that just sounds so cool. I really like personal essays that like kind of blend genres a little bit. So I'm really excited to have that one. I had never heard of it, and it seems really cool, and it was on sale. So,
ooh,
yeah. And then after all that, I just came back home. I came back home and
for like what, 2 days?
Yeah. Like I'll throw to you in a second, but basically the timeline was that I came home on a Friday, and then on the Monday, my brother came to visit, and so I had my brother out. We were hanging out, you know, just having a good time for a couple of days, and then the following Friday we flew out to Nova Scotia for your wedding. So I basically had like, actually my brother came on the Tuesday, so I had a few days to like decompress, and then he was here for like 3 days, and then I was like, bye. Have fun looking after our cats. And I'll talk about the whole Nova Scotia trip later. I need to rest before I talk about that. It was a whole ordeal.
It was a whole ordeal. Well, I guess that's the throw to me. Yes. So, boy, oh boy, was it an ordeal. It was beautiful. It was beautiful. Yeah. It was the best it could have gone. I actually can't imagine it having gone any better. So the week before the wedding was, as you can imagine, pretty hectic. There was a lot to do and a lot going on. And what's interesting is I had a friend who got married the weekend before our wedding. Oh, yeah. And so I was in Ottawa for a completely different wedding, exactly a week before our wedding.
Crazy.
We spent 3 days in Ottawa, which at first I was like, God, this is kind of difficult. Like, I wish that this wasn't the case. Yeah. I was talking to my friend Claire about it, and she was like, well, actually, maybe it's good that you have your mind off of your wedding, because like the alternative is that you're at home fixating on yours. And I was like, that actually completely changed my mind. And it, like, when I went on the trip, we just totally had a great time. It was kind of like the last little hurrah before when we got home, everything was going to get really crazy. Yeah. And so we just really enjoyed Ottawa. You know, I love Ottawa. And so I just had the best time. And it was so beautiful going to that wedding. So much fun. That was the second wedding of the summer, because 2 weeks before that wedding, we'd been in another wedding in Ontario. It was a crazy summer of weddings. We're Connor's best friend. Another beautiful wedding. So we'd done this wedding. We're in Ottawa. We fly back home, and we're like, all right, we have 6 days. We have 6 days before our wedding. Here we go. And we started, like, there's a lot to do, but also just a lot of like, this is like any kind of vacation you have to go on. There's a lot of like home admin. Like, you got to make sure to do all the laundry before you go on a big trip. Or you need to make sure to like eat up all the food at home because you're about to be basically away from home for a month. And like, there's all of these like just very domestic tasks that we got to, and oh god, actually the car needs to go to the mechanic, and how do we drop that off? I was
doing all the same stuff.
Yes, there's all these things you have to do just before any big trip. So just because it was the wedding didn't really change that. So there was just a lot to do, and obviously like packing and planning and like doing the like last final things. Also just a lot of like checking in with people, being like, okay, I confirmed that this person was going to do my hair a month ago. Gotta check in now. It's the week of. And like gotta check in with everyone and make sure that we're all going to line. There's just so many people that you are collaborating with and putting your trust in for this. Everyone's got to line up perfectly on this day.
Yeah, crazy.
And they did. It was a perfect day. So we got married in Lunenburg, which is my favorite town in Nova Scotia. You guys know that we go there every anniversary, and we like stay in a little Airbnb there. It's where we got engaged. And so when we were thinking like, where would we want to get married, we just like instantly were like, Lunenburg. We love Lunenburg. Also, because we were like, lots of friends and family are going to be coming from away. Where would be fun for them to stay for a weekend? Yeah. Lunenburg. It's awesome. So we knew we wanted to do it there. And when we got engaged, the next day we went to the bookshop, my favorite bookshop, Lunenburg Bound, which now I'm like forever like blood bonded with with Lunenburg Bound. But we went in just like to go book shopping on our anniversary trip. So we got engaged, we go in and we say to the bookshop owner, Michael, who I just love Michael so much, but we said to Michael, we got engaged. And he was like, congratulations, that's so exciting. And then we did a little book shopping and it was just very jolly. And as we were leaving, he said, and I think it was a joke, but he was like, well, you know, if you need a place for the wedding reception, haha. And we were like, ha. And we both just looked at each other and then we like paid and we left and literally we stood on the sidewalk outside of the bookshop. We looked at each other and we were like, that would be the dream. Like, I can't even imagine a better venue. I can't, like, what could be better? And so like a week later, I emailed Michael and I was like, if you were kidding, that's fine. That's okay. But if you weren't kidding, we would actually love to do that. And he was like, I think he said something like, I think I was kidding, but now I'm not kidding. You know? Like,
yeah, now I'm back in.
Yeah. And so we agreed to do it in the bookshop. So that really set the tone because we were like, okay, so the ceremony's happening in the bookshop. What has to happen next? A restaurant. Okay, what restaurant do we want to go to that's like walkable? And then we really wanted the entire thing to be walkable. That was like our huge goal because we were like, people are going to be drinking, people are going to like be coming from away, so they're not going to have cars or they're going to be parked in like, because Lunenburg gets really busy in the summer. So we're like, parking's going to be tricky. And so we're like, let's just make this walkable so it's really easy because it's not all going to be in like one big wedding venue. So we picked a restaurant that was within walking distance. And then the hardest part was finding a venue for the after party. Because we're like, weddings should have dancing. Always. Right? That's just me and Connor's opinion. Do whatever the hell you want. Yeah, and let me just preface everything I'm about to say by like, I just want you to be happy on your wedding day. All opinions are for my wedding day. All right, now that we've sealed that off, weddings should have dancing, okay? Because like, and now I extra get it. So, it's so emotional. The whole day is so emotional in like 800 different directions. You're seeing literally everyone that you love. Like, I'd turn and I'd see Raylene. Then I'd turn and I'd see Connor's mom. Then I'd turn and I'd see Lena and Claire from England. And I'd turn and I'd see Jeffrey and Jeremy from New York. And you know, like everywhere I turn, I'm seeing literally everyone that I love. And then I'd turn and I'd see my husband that I just minted. And then I'm just like, it's so emotional. The whole thing is so emotional. But also, it's such an administrative thing. Like, you've done so much work and now you're living it. You've done so much work and this is the payoff, right? And so my point is, at the end of the thing, when you finally get to the dancing, you are so ready for a release. You have all of this energy and adrenaline and emotion that you just want to, you got to do something with it. What do? You dance. And so we were like, we got to have a dance. We've got to figure this out. Lunenburg, as much as I love it, does not have any venues. It's weirdly devoid of musical dancing venues. And suddenly we had this massive problem where we had already booked a lot of the other things, but we couldn't find a venue. In the end, thankfully, one of my friends who lives in Lunenburg was like, have you considered the boat shed? We were like, tell us more. We go on, we visit the big boat shed. It is the boat shed where the Blue Nose was built, both Blue Nose 1 and the Blue Nose 2. It's this unbelievably stunning building. Just so cool. But it is a working boat shed. Like, it is, you should have seen it, Raylene, on Friday.
Yeah, I'm sure you guys did a lot of work.
The day before, I mean, we went in on Thursday. No, we went in on Friday. There's wood shavings everywhere. And we knew this. Like, there's wood shavings, tools, just equipment everywhere. It does not look like a party could possibly happen there.
Yeah.
And we're all like, this is okay. And I actually, one of our friends was like, Ariel? Well, it was one of our friends, like, friends is +1. They didn't really know me. This is why they said this.
Yeah.
Because I think if they knew me, they wouldn't have thought this. But they're like, I honestly doubted you. They were like, I did not see how this was going to work. and you turned it into like one of the coolest venues ever. And I was just like, thank you so much, because I knew that the vision was in my head and it was gonna work, but like it took work. But anyways, the boat shed themselves like did a lot of cleanup. They literally took a leaf blower to all of their wood shavings and cleaned the whole, like they cleaned up all the wood shavings and moved their tools out of the way. But then we had to do a lot of work to move things around and make areas and bring in chairs and tables. And the weeks prior, I had been buying a lot of blankets at the thrift store, just really cute printed blankets, and then like sheets and stuff and quilts and things, and we threw those over all of the surfaces. We hung, the main thing that really like is light is everything. So I bought 5 boxes of patio lights from Home Depot. And my dad Connor and his best man strung them up. I had this dream of chips and salsa and margaritas. That's all I wanted. I just wanted chips and salsa and margaritas. And that dream came true. And so every venue worked out beautifully. The speeches at the restaurant were beautiful. The ceremony at the bookshop was so fun. And then the dancing afterwards was just like, it was so much fun. Oh, and I didn't even mention, we had a family concert at the boat shed.
It was so
Wasn't
good.
that amazing?
Yeah.
That was amazing. Have you ever heard my dad sing before?
No, that was like, me and Kyle were both like jaws on the floor. Like we were like, is this really happening right now? Like this is so awesome. Like your dad is not someone I would have pictured performing, and performing in the way he did. Oh my goodness. It was extraordinary.
So cool. So yeah, my dad is a helicopter pilot, which I'm sure I've talked about on here before, but he went to university for music and paid for his university by doing gigs. Amazing. Like he was a gigging musician. So he's an amazing musician. And it was just so beautiful to see my dad play again, and like in front of all my family and friends. My brother covered Avril Lavigne for me.
I couldn't believe that. Yeah, that was awesome.
Are you kidding me? Like, oh God, all of our families, and like, we just have a lot of musicians in the family. So we reached out to everyone and was like, would you like to play a song at the wedding? Everyone's songs were so beautiful. Our friend Xander played a song from my favorite movie, The F Word.
Yep. That got me.
Because he knows it's my favorite movie, and he picked a song from it, and he made it was a perfect finishing song, because he made it so that like at the end we all sang together. Like he made it an audience participation thing. That was like so beautiful.
It was so good. Yeah, something that I need to say, as like just imagining this day, everyone listening, imagine this. I'm just crying the entire time. Like literally from the moment that you were walking, your dad was walking you down the aisle, I was like, okay, it's over for me. I just had tears leaking out of me for like probably 10 hours straight. Like I couldn't stop it. For some, like my own wedding made me really emotional too. Like there's something about weddings, and maybe it's just because it was you, but like, cause I haven't been to any other weddings. So it was just like, it was a lot. And it was funny because Claire was sitting right behind me at the reception, and afterwards we stood up and looked at each other, and we're both just like glossy eyed. We were like, like both of us the whole day, we were just having a day. And so the family concert did the exact same thing to me. Like when everyone was singing the song from your favorite movie at the same time, I was like, it's too beautiful. I can't take it. So
it actually, oh God, it was, I feel emotional right now talking about it. It was a really, really perfect day. And then, I'm going to cry.
As you should. It was an emotional day.
It was a really emotional day. And I just love my friends and I love my family. And it meant so much to, obviously, like, I'm talking about all the stuff that happened because it's all the stuff that happened. But like the main thing, my favorite moment, when people are like, what was your favorite moment of the whole thing? I'm like, it was marrying Connor. Like actually up there, I felt so emotional up there. And our vows, oh my God,
your guys' vows were freaking amazing.
Thank you so much.
That was what really got me going. I was like, and the fact that you guys both did it in Spanish too, like I was like, this is too much. I can't handle it.
It was so pretty. And like the, not to brag, but the officiant, who obviously officiates like hundreds of weddings a year or whatever, literally we said our vows and she was like, wow, I've heard a lot of vows. And those were some of the best I've ever heard.
I think she was holding back tears too. Like I do think that like it got her.
I loved her. She was so great, and she brought such a jolly energy. I felt like she actually cared and was like there, really present with us, you know, and she went through everything at a really great pace where I was really nervous beforehand that I would like say something wrong, like not repeat things correctly, but she went at such a great pace, and then she gave us that massive compliment, and I was like, she didn't have to do that. I think she meant it.
She was really nice.
Like, it was so beautiful. And then when she said like, I pronounce you man and wife, or whatever the words were, or it was husband and wife. I don't know if you heard me. I don't know how loud I said it, but I just said, wow.
I don't remember. Yeah.
Because I like the actual impact of the moment. I was just like, wow.
It's really crazy to be in that moment. It's like, really it feels really big because it is really big, but it feels so big when it's happening. It's like, whoa.
It feels so big. And it actually did just mean so much to me that like all of our closest friends and family were there, because like in an important way, you guys are a part of the marriage. You know what I mean? Like, you guys are the support system. You're there for all the happy things. You're there for the sad things. When things happen, I talk to you. I talk to our friends. I talk to our family. Like, you guys are part of it. And it was just so meaningful to have everyone there from all corners of our lives. So, good God. It was amazing. It was everything I wanted it to be and more. Did we have little problems? Only a few.
And they were very minor. Right? Like,
they were minor,
nothing
right?
Crazy.
Yeah, we had basically one of the speaker wasn't working for a little time, which was very, very stressful. And then I just started like manically cutting the cake to be like, all right, CJ's going to fix that. CJ's going to fix it. I'm going to go cut the cake. And I just stood on a chair and whacked. And now that I think about it, I'm like, that was like fancy cake cutting ware that Connor's mom brought us from Ontario. And I'm just like, whack, whack, whack. And everyone looked at me and I'm like, we're gonna cut the cake now.
I do like you kept taking charge of things. Like you were like, all right, we're behind schedule. Let's go do this thing now. Everybody grab flowers. We're gonna walk. It was great. It was very Ariel. It was a very Ariel day.
I really can't help myself, can I? But yeah, so I cut the cake and then CJ fixed it and then we started to dance and our first song, the first dance was to Lioness and Lucy. Very fun. That was my mom's idea, and instantly when she said it, I was like, that's the move. So me and Connor started dancing to Lioness and Lucy from Charlie Brown. You know what's so funny, Raylene?
What?
Afterwards, Claire came to stay with me for a few days, right? So we just spent the whole 4 days after talking about the wedding.
Yeah, of course.
And at one point she was like, what was that first dance? And I was like, Lioness and Lucy from Charlie Brown. She's like, her and her husband were like, oh, like Snoopy. And I was like, oh my God.
Oh my God. You aren't a fan of Vince Guaraldi? Excuse me.
Which that to me as a cultural difference is crazy. You know? I guess it's like crazy.
But maybe
because it's very American, it's very North American, it's very Thanksgiving, like it's Halloween special. Yeah. Like I get it, but just like I couldn't believe that it's so inherent here that I couldn't believe that it hadn't really exported to the UK, and like Lena didn't really know what it was either, and I was just like, wow, well, that's crazy. But anyway, everyone else, 3 British people didn't know what it was, but everyone else was like, this is so fun. And so basically for like 30 seconds, me and Connor did the dance, and then we brought in our parents, then we brought in our siblings, and then we brought in everyone. And it was so cute.
I must say, it was fun to just walk in and dance like Charlie Brown. Like there was so no pressure to dance cool. It was like everybody just do a little jig. Goal.
We were like, this is the perfect way to break the dancing ice.
Yes.
So that's a lowdown on the wedding. I will do a little plug. You know what? I'm doing a plug, Raylene.
Do it.
For my own Patreon. Because over the last 5-6 months, I've been recording a mini podcast for my patrons that is just like a huge rundown of the wedding. Like that's 6 months out, I'm like, this is what I'm currently doing. 5 months out, now I'm doing this. 3 weeks out, now I'm doing this, you know? So if you want to hear way more about the wedding and all the things that went into organizing it, I recorded like a whole thing, and it's coming out on my own Patreon now. So patreon.com/Ariel Bassett if you want to hear even more about the wedding, but we will continue to talk about it because now it's time to talk about the books at the wedding. So one of the details that I was the most excited about for my wedding was my book stamp.
Of course.
I have it here. I think what I'm going to do, Raylene, is like put a little hook, like a hook and eye in here and make it a Christmas tree ornament.
That's great.
Right?
Yeah, what else are you going to do with that?
I'm never going to use the stamp again. So the stamp says, I got this book at Ariel and Connor's wedding, Lunenburg, Nova Scotia, August 16th, 2025, with a little illustration of a book. I designed it illustration of a boat. I designed the boat. I drew the boat, drew the frame. I designed this and made it into a stamp. And I was like, okay, our wedding favor to everyone is going to be $20 towards a book. So my thinking was, you know, if you're a shy person and you don't really want to talk during the cocktail hour, you can just browse for books in the book. We're in a bookshop. If you're like having a conversation that's a little awkward because you don't know this person, you can just be like, well, I guess I'm going to go pick my book. You can like, it's like an easy out. Or it's a really good conversation starter because you can be like, what book did you pick? And then you can just talk about that book. So I was just like really excited about this idea. I also was like, you know, I don't think wedding favors are at all necessary. I actually think they should be avoided because I think most of the time they are like stuff people aren't going to keep. Yeah. But I was like, but if it's a book you are picking, you are actually choosing this book. You actually want to read it. You've been meaning to get this book or whatever. Like it might actually be something that sticks around on your shelf for a while. So we gave everyone $20 towards their book. So basically you would pick out a book, go to the desk, and if it was under $20, it would get fully covered. If it was more than $20, you would pay the rest. And this stamp and a beautiful sign were there saying like, God, I spent so much time making signs, really.
There were a lot of signs. They were good.
Stenciling signs. So there was a sign that was like, make sure to stamp your book. And like, I think Michael, the bookshop owner, did most of them. Yeah. But some people also stamped their own books. Ooh. So before the wedding, I ordered myself some books because I was like, I'm not going to have time on the wedding day to browse. Yeah. And I absolutely did not. So I'm glad that I picked myself out some books. But also Connor and I exchanged books. Ooh, so like he picked some for me and I picked some for him. So I'm going to start with those books. And let me start I'll start with the ones that I picked for myself. Whew, okay. The first one is The Road to Wigan Pier by George Orwell. If you recall, I didn't own this one. I realized I didn't own it and I was like, okay, I can fix that problem. Yeah, easy. So I got that one in the edition that matches all my other ones. And I also got myself Cassandra at the Wedding by Dorothy Baker, which is like it says wedding in the title, you guys. It also just sounds really good. I've heard great things about this author, and I can show you the stamp in there. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. And then the book that I got Connor was Anna Karenina because he loves, like, I just know he'd love that kind of book. One of his favorite books of all time is Crime and Punishment. And so I got him an edition of Anna Karenina. But then I also was like, you know what? I'm getting myself that book. Ooh, so I also got myself this edition that matches my edition of Crime and Punishment. Heck yeah. Which is so pretty. Again, I stamped all my books when I got home. And then Connor got me some books. He picked out, this is so cute, he picked out The Wild Robot, which I already own, but he picked it out because he thought that he was like, when I heard about it, I thought you would really like it. And so I'm going to keep this edition that now has the stamp in it. But he's like, we also said we'd only get each other one book. Like, I only got him Anna Karenina. He's like, but I wasn't sure which ones you might already own. So he got me that one. And he also got me Comet in Moominland. Oh, hell yeah. Which he knows I'm on my Tove Jansson situation. And he's like, do you own this one? I'm like, no. And this is a perfect copy edition of it.
It's so pretty.
Yeah, which is so cool. And then he got me one more. And why don't I see it? He also got me Beautiful Joe by Margaret Marshall Saunders, which is like a very random book, but it's a Canadian classic. And he was like, this is the first, I had mentioned this book to him a long time ago, and I had not been able to find a copy anywhere. And he checked and they had this used copy in stock. And this is it's like a dog story. You know, dog stories, like an epic dog that saves a family, like that kind of old-timey dog story. But this is really interesting because it's a Canadian writer, and she was the first writer to ever sell more than 1 million copies of a book.
What?
So this is the first bestseller in Canada, in all of Canadian history. She sold over 1 million copies, and guess where she's from?
Nova Scotia.
Nova Scotia. That's right, ladies and gentlemen. My beloved Nova Scotia. So Connor, this was such a thoughtful gift that he got me. I mentioned this a long time ago, and he found it, and he was like, "You're Canadian Nova Scotian best-selling woman author." And I'm like, "You understand me."
Oh, that's so nice.
So he got me some really great picks. And those are the books that I got at the wedding. How about after this, I'll talk about the books I was gifted. But what about you? What'd you get at the wedding? Tell us about the bookshop experience.
It was so fun. So like the entire time we were like during the cocktail hour, me and Kyle and Jeffrey and Jeremy were just kind of like looking at books and chatting. And so we were like pointing things out to each other, and it was kind of fun to like browse the books as a group. I also have a really funny picture of Kaylee like buried behind a whole bunch of stacks of books because she wanted to find the poetry section, and she was like, I didn't even realize she was there because she was completely out of view. I was like, "Kaylee, where are you?" And she just popped up like a little meerkat and was like, "Hey." It was hilarious. So anyways, I ended up getting 3 books. Technically one of them belongs to Kyle because we each got our own wedding favor, and so Kyle insists that this is his book, but it's my book. But I'll start with the main pièce de résistance, if you will, because I was like, okay, this is a really important book. Like, this is the book I got at Ariel's wedding. It has to be meaningful in so many different ways, and so I was like, what do I do? And then I locked eyes with this book. It was on a weird little display that had been pushed off to the side, and I was like, this is the one. And that is Half-Breed by Marina Campbell. I had to because
that's so cool.
Isn't that great?
In the new Kanata edition.
I know. These editions are very beautifully floppy, I must say. I want to get more books in these editions. I noticed that they had a lot of different books in this from the series.
That series is just launched.
I'm going to have to check those out. But yeah, there's just so many reasons that this just worked perfectly. I'm like, this is solidified as an Ariel favorite. It's Canadian. And it just like, it was perfect. It's a book I want to read. So it was just a perfect selection. So this is the book I got. I, of course, got it stamped as well. Boom. Beautiful.
Love the jaunty angled stamp.
I know.
Did Michael
just
stamp
like,
it?
Boom.
Michael likes to do an angled stamp.
Yeah, it was great. And it's funny because like from last year, we went to Lunenburg Bound, and I have those books stamped with the Lunenburg Bound stamp. So now I'm like, I have all these beautifully stamped books, which I just think is so cute. Awesome. But the other book I got was actually kind of funny the way that this happened. So a couple of days before we left for Nova Scotia, I picked up this book from the library and was like, I'm not gonna have time to read this. It's a massive book. I'm just gonna like read the first few pages to see if it's something I want to buy. I read the first few pages and was like, oh my God, I definitely want to own this book. And that book is The Will of the Many by James Islington. And another added layer to this is that last year when I was visiting you, and we went to Lunenburg Bound, they had this book there, and I was like, ooh, that looks cool. I should buy that one day. So it's been on my radar specifically since going to Lunenburg Bound. So I was already thinking about it, and I really wanted to get it. So I went, they had it, and I was like, well, I'm going to get this. And I like showed it to Kyle. I was like, hey, it's a fantasy book. Like, do you want this to be your wedding favor? And he was like, sure, whatever. And so now this is Kyle's book. That is also my book from your wedding. And once again, it is stamped. Oh, yep, at a jaunty angle, a little bit.
Yeah, he loves a jaunty angle.
So I got those 2 books, but since I was in the bookstore browsing, naturally I found another one. Oops. And it was funny because Jeremy was the one who pointed it out. There was on the strange little display right near Half-Breed, they had this book on display, and Jeremy was like, oh, I need that book. And I was like, wait, I need that book too. And that book is Sunburn by Chloe Michelle Haworth.
Cool, yes.
And this is one that was published in the UK like a while ago, and so I've been wanting to get it for a while, but it wasn't available in North America. It just came out, I think, in July here. And so they had these 2 copies, and me and Jeremy both snatched them up. And this is like a coming of age story set in the 90s in Ireland. Like, say less. That's all I need to know, and that's why I've been wanting it. It just sounds so good, and I mean, would have been a great summer read, except it's fall now. So it's gonna have to wait. But I didn't get that one stamped because it wasn't an official wedding favor. So
I really respect that.
I wanted to ask Michael to give me the other stamp, but I knew he was busy with I didn't want to bug him, so I was like, I just won't get it stamped. It's okay.
That's so sweet.
Yeah.
I had so much fun in the bookshop. So basically you guys all started gathering there at around 5. The ceremony was at 5:30. And so I was right across the street in my Airbnb getting ready with my mom and my dad. And then we walked over and, the music started, walked down the aisle, did our vows, got married. And then Connor and I left with the photographer. Mm-hmm. And we were only gone for maybe 15 minutes. We weren't gone for that long. And then our families came out. We took more photos with them. So maybe we were gone for 20 minutes, and then we came back into the bookshop. So we still had an hour in the bookshop.
Yeah.
And we just completely went our separate ways and started saying hi to everyone. Because we just wanted to see everyone, and everyone looked so pretty and cute. It was so fun. So then after the bookshop, we went to dinner, and then we went to the boat shed. Danced our little hearts out, which was awesome. I remember talking to Maureen, Connor's sister, afterwards, and she was like, every party that I ever go to, I want there to be limbo and a conga line, and your wedding had both.
Oh my god.
And I'm just that's so awesome, because I did not initiate either of those.
It just happened.
But I think they were both our dear sweet bestie greatest pal Victoria. I know that she initiated limbo with Connor's tie, his wedding tie.
Oh yeah,
which is
I remember
so
Victoria
funny.
running around trying to find something for limbo, and she just showed me this tie, and I was like, what is this? She's like, do you think this will work? I was like, for what? She was like, limbo, and I was like, oh yeah, I'm sure that'll be fine. It was a collaborative effort.
Amazing. And that even Megan and Finley's beautiful baby Corvidia got in on the limbo action.
Oh yeah.
And then the conga line, someone was like, you need to start conga, and I was like, okay, on the next song. And then it was Beat It by Michael Jackson. So we did.
That's perfect.
It was so funny. So anyways, it was the best. And then the next day, you sadly flew away. You were a real in and out participant. You were traveling at the speed of light.
It was crazy. Yeah. Can I tell you my journey of the way the travel worked? So we had to leave here, Calgary, at 9 a.m. We landed at 5 p.m. Nova Scotia time.
Because of the 4-hour time
there's
difference.
a 3-hour difference from here. But yeah, so of the travel and everything, by the time we got to where you were, it was 7:30. And I was it's been such a long day, my friend. And so we hung out a little bit, which was nice. We got to hang out a little bit, but then we just went to bed and then got up and had a day, just kicking around until it was time for the wedding. And then we got back to our Airbnb from the wedding at 1 o'clock or something. It was 1 a.m. And we were we're gonna have to wake up at 4 a.m. tomorrow in order, because we had to drive back to Halifax to get to the airport, and you want to be at the airport a little bit ahead of time, blah blah blah. So it was just gonna be really early because our flight was leaving at 8 a.m. or 8:30 or something, and so we didn't go to sleep.
Oh, God.
We just stayed up. We were are we gonna get 2 hours of sleep, or are we just gonna stay up? And so we stayed up, and we were you know what? Let's just go to the airport now. There's no point in just sitting around. So we just got to the airport and took a nap and had breakfast before we got on the plane. But yeah, so we were only in Nova Scotia for probably 30 hours or something. I don't know. I didn't do the math.
Crazy.
It was crazy.
In and out. I was
I know. At the wedding, people were so when are you guys heading back home? And we were tomorrow morning. And they were didn't you just get here last night? And we were yeah. Yeah, we did. It was crazy. Yeah, it was just we're not gonna have time to hang out. I knew that you had Claire visiting, and I'm you know what? This isn't a visit. This is a wedding trip.
It's a wedding,
and we're in and out. My brother was looking after the cats. I didn't want to have him,
of course,
stuck at our place for too long. It was just a crazy time. So it was really quick, but it was worth it. It was good. I'm glad I did it.
It was quick, but it was great that you obviously were able to fully come for the entire wedding and everything. And then the next day, everyone that was still there, we all went to a beach, and that was really beautiful as well, because it was just this really calm, peaceful sense of we did it.
Yeah.
We all pulled it off. We had a perfect night. and we all went for brunch. Like I booked this patio at this nice bistro thing. So we had a really cute brunch, and then we all went to the beach and we played with a volleyball and just like laid in the sand, and Megan and Finley brought their little dogs. And so it was just like a very cute beach day. And then I came home with Claire. So one of my best friends ever, Claire, she has a YouTube channel. She's been on the podcast before. We'll link her in the description. She actually made a video while she was here with me. Oh. So if you want to watch her experience of everything, I'll link to that. But she's never been to Canada before. So she came to Canada. She actually did the opposite of you, Ray. She was here for a week before and a week after. Like she did like a massive trip. But of course, like I say, like she'd never been to Canada or Nova Scotia before. Yeah. Whereas
I'd do the same thing if I went to England.
Yeah, exactly. So she I saw her for a day in the week leading up to the wedding. And then I hosted her for almost a week after, like 4 or 5 days after. And so then we like coasted around. So while she was here, I got a couple of books, but I was also gifted a couple of books at the wedding. Not actually that many, too. So, but we'll talk through all these. So the first one that I got is The Wind in the Willows by Kenneth Graham, right? Yeah. Yes, Graham. Sorry, the cursive writing on there was kind of hard to read. It's such a pretty edition. And so Lena, who is here, had just been telling us that she just read this book and loved it. And then Claire and I were in a shop that had these beautiful editions. And so we each got one because we were Lena literally just told us to read this. And my brother has been reading a lot of like main characters that are animal books. And so anyways, so it just felt like it aligned, and I was excited to grab that one. It's such a pretty edition. And then I also picked up Pat of Silver Bush by Lucy Maud Montgomery, which is one of the ones I don't own and haven't read yet, in this fun old edition, which I don't think is a first edition, but you know, it looks pretty old. It might be, actually. It says 1933 in the copyright. It just, again, this was very cheap. I got it at a used bookshop. I guess it wasn't that cheap, because I think it was a first edition. There was a little paper in there that I think I may have lost, or that the bookshop owner took. But anyways, excited to have that. And then, like I say, I was gifted 2 books at the wedding. Can you guess what they were?
Well, I gave you one of them.
Yeah.
And I feel like somebody told me about giving you a book, but I can't remember who it was or what it was now.
Well, the first one is the one that you gave me, which is Anne of Green Gables, the complete novel featuring the characters' letters and mementos written and folded by hand. So obviously the novel is by Lucy Maud Montgomery, but all of this extra stuff is curated by Barbara Heller. So this is so cool. I've seen this in bookshops before, but I've never like picked it up. And I had flipped through it before, but not really, like, now that I have it, now, like, it's so cool.
It was, like, sealed up when I got it. It was wrapped in plastic, and I was like, I'm going to have to break this open so I can write in it.
Yes, so there's all of this beautiful, like, the text is there, obviously, there's text, but the whole idea is that there's all of these, kind of envelopes throughout, and there's all these different, like, things, artifacts. So this is like a beautiful, I kind of want to just like
that map
frame this.
You should. Yeah.
This is a beautiful map of Avonlea. It looks like a little bit aged. Or there will be like, if somebody was invited to a party, there will be like a fake invite to that party. Or I think there's a train ticket from the train that she would have taken. Stuff like that to try and bring the story to life in a really cool way. So yeah, that's my wedding gift from Raylene. Amongst, you gave me some other really cute things as well.
Yeah.
But yeah, this was the book that I got gifted, which is so beautiful. And basically, like, matching the aesthetic very similarly, I was also given this other gift edition of Anne of Green Gables. Look at how well they match. They're both like green and copper. So this is a wedding gift from Claire and Lena. This is, you're gonna lose your mind over this one, Ray.
I already know. They told me about this. I just remembered.
Oh, yes. Okay. Well, everyone listening is about to lose their mind. So they know that I love this book. And so earlier this year, Lena bought this book, or Claire, I forget who bought it, but Lena read it first, and she annotated it while she read it. Then she handed it off to Claire, who then read the same edition and also annotated it. And so it is full of annotations from two of my best friends ever. I really teared up when they gave this to me. It's such a meaningful gift, and obviously, like, they read an entire book for me, which is that's a big effort.
It's beautiful. The whole thing is beautiful.
And they annotated it, and when they gave it to me, one of them recorded this clip, and it literally looks fake. Like, it looks like a green screen because we're in the boat shed and the sun is setting behind us on the harbor. It looks so beautiful. It looks fake. But yeah, it was just so beautiful that they gave this to me, and yeah. So look at me. I'm very lucky. Look at me with my new Anne of Green Gables.
I know, like, do we know you or not? Like,
all right. Now, so the wedding's over, right? Like, you've gone back home. Claire left.
Yeah.
We had a day and a half before going on the honeymoon.
Oh my gosh.
Woo! Which is the final hurrah of books that I have. Let me begin with the books I bought for the honeymoon. Okay. So that they'll explain what the honeymoon was all about. So this first book is actually not mine. This was Connor's book, but we both picked out a book for the honeymoon. Connor's was Murder on the Orient Express by Agatha Christie. Perfect. In this amazing facsimile edition that I was, like, obsessed with getting. I think I ordered this on eBay because I was like, I want this edition.
Yeah.
My book that I picked out was The Great Train Robbery by Michael Crichton.
Wait,
do you see a theme yet?
I was going to say it, but I didn't want to say it before you did the big reveal. I was going to guess that they were train books for sure.
Has a theme developed for our anniversary, for our honeymoon. We went on the train. We didn't just go on the train, though. We went on the train, okay? We flew from Halifax all the way to Vancouver, got on the Canadian, which is the name of this train, and rode it all the way back home. So we literally went from coast to coast, the entirety of the length of Canada. It was unbelievable. It was unbelievable. So I'll have photos that show here. And I did send Raylene a bunch of photos whenever I could. Because like I said, there were so many times where I didn't have signal and I just couldn't send anything. But we went through British Columbia, Alberta. We did a stop in Jasper for like an hour. We did a stop in Edmonton, but we didn't get off the train because the train station's in the middle of nowhere. So you couldn't walk to anywhere. Then we had a stop in Winnipeg. Oh. Actually, I think we stopped in Saskatoon, but it was like during the nighttime, so we were asleep. And then we stopped in Winnipeg for like 3 hours because we got there early. And then the train trip ends in Toronto. So the Canadian is from Vancouver to Toronto. We then switched trains to the like main corridor line, the Ontario one, we went from Toronto up to Quebec City.
Oh, cool.
So I should say the first one took 5 days. So we were on the train, like literally on the train for 4.5 days. And you could like the longest stop we had was that 3-hour stop in Winnipeg.
So you were fully on the train. Like we're
fully on the train. We each read 2.5 books on the train. But also Connor beat all of Hollow Knight. He had this again, like he'd played it before and he wanted to play it again because we were like, we want to truly relax on this trip. Like, what else
are you gonna do, right? Like, all you have to do is entertain yourselves, like talk to each other, hang out.
A lot of chatting. I napped every single day.
Nice.
It was amazing, and we ate so much great food. The train has incredible food.
Oh, nice.
And all your meals are paid for. If you're doing like the sleeper car or the like bunk bed, like if you're paying for a bed of any kind on the train, you get all of your meals included. Oh, nice. And there's a bar cart, there's a dome cart that's like the skylight, you can imagine like a dome of glass, right? Atrium style. So you're just sitting in there like passing the Rockies thinking, wow, we live in the greatest country on earth. Like, it's just like, I actually think, and obviously it's expensive. It takes, you have to save up for it. We had to save up for it, right? But I actually think that every Canadian should try and do this train trip in their lifetime. Either go from Toronto to Vancouver or Vancouver to Toronto.
I was going to ask, yeah, like I would probably do it the reverse because then I'd be closer to home at the end.
Yeah, exactly. Either way, you get to see so much of Canada. And like the part from Toronto to Quebec City, you don't have a sleeper car for that. You just like go, like you're just like on a passenger seat. So that was fine. I mean, it was fun to be on a train, but it's not like a sleeper car experience.
Yeah.
Whereas that first part, the Canadian, you're like in a sleeper car or in a berth. It's like a bunk bed thing. And you're getting like meals and you're sleeping and you're napping and you're waking up. And every time you look out, the landscape has changed a little bit.
Cool.
And it was so romantic in that sense of like the romance of travel and train travel. And yeah, we loved it so much. And I just really think that like people should do this train trip. So then we got up to Quebec City. That from Toronto to Quebec City took like a day, basically like a full day, and we had to stop in Montreal for a couple hours to wait for the next train. So then we got to Quebec City, and we were in Quebec City for 4 nights. Ooh, okay. And so this was like our big stop. We planned to do a big stop in Quebec City. We had the greatest time. Have you been to Quebec City?
Yeah, it was a long time ago. I was in middle school, but we did like a class trip. Went to Quebec City, Montreal. Yeah.
We did a class trip to Quebec City as well. So I went in like, it was either grade 7 or 8 or 9. I don't remember, but I feel like I was 14. So maybe it was in grade 9. But we went on also a class trip. But it was so long ago. Now that's like over a decade ago.
Yeah.
I didn't really remember it. And I knew that it was cool. I remembered that it was cool. Oh my God. It's so cool. People, you got to go to Quebec City. You got to go. You got to experience it, especially if you're like living in North America and you wish you could go to Europe, but it's way too expensive.
Yeah, it's like the closest you can get.
Quebec City is basically Europe in North America. It's unbelievably beautiful. And I recommend not going in the summer. Like we were there at the end of the season, but like it was still the season and it was pretty busy. And so my parents go there almost every year. They have for the last few years. And they always go in the winter time and they take the train and they're like, the train is emptier. The shops are emptier, but it's still as beautiful. And I'm like, yeah, that's the move. Nice. They always go in like November or December. So anyways, Quebec City was so beautiful. We did lots of shopping and like, well, actually a lot of like window shopping. We didn't buy a lot of stuff. I think we were both like, we've spent a lot of money on the wedding and on the train tickets and hotel tickets and everything. We were just like, we don't need to spend a lot of money. We can just look at stuff. And so we didn't actually buy that much stuff, but it was really cool, Raylene, that like you could just buy whatever you wanted in a way and not worry about will it fit in the airplane.
Yeah, that's really nice.
Because on the train you have so much room for your stuff. So I did buy a couple of things. I bought a mug and some sweaters. Oh God, I was really like, I got this amazing new vest. Ooh. Hope you like my new vest. Yeah, so got a couple of things on the train. On the train trip. Loved Quebec City. And then we got back on the train and rode the ocean, which is the other train line. Cool. We rode the ocean line from Quebec City, which starts in Montreal, but we got it in Quebec City all the way back to Halifax. And we got to see the ocean for part of it in New Brunswick, and you get to just see it become more coastal, more rocky as you get into Nova Scotia. And it felt so exciting to get back. We were gone for 2 weeks, basically. Jeez. And it was so exhilarating to come back home, and it was so exhilarating not to deal with an airport at the end of your trip. Just like get off the train and you're back home.
Yeah, that's
and we were
nice.
like, this is awesome. It was awesome. So that was our honeymoon. We had the best time. And yeah, like I say, there was long stretches where we just didn't have signal because you're like in northern Ontario. You're like, well, we're in the Rockies
nice. That was like me with camping. It's like there's no signal, so my phone was just away for like 4 days, and I love that.
So good.
That's what made it peaceful, not the bear. It was the lack of phone.
So I want to share the books that I got on the honeymoon because there were a couple of bookshops along the way.
All right.
Let me try and do this in chronological order. So we first went to, we first flew to Vancouver. And we had a day in Vancouver before like the train trip was the next
I don't
day.
know what you did while you were there. I don't know anything about
so
this trip.
funny?
It's so strange.
I know, it's crazy. I've got to send you more photos. But when we were in Vancouver, Connor wanted to see the bookshops, and I was like, great. So I took him to all the ones you've taken him to. So we went to Paper Hound. We didn't find anything there. We then went to McLeod's. Is that what it's called?
Yeah.
McLeod's, thank you. And I found The Strange Library by Haruki Murakami.
I'm so jealous. I have been trying to find that book for years.
I know. I have like, this is one of those books that I feel like I have thought about buying like a dozen times. And I have always really liked this edition, and it was like, obviously it's a used bookstore, so it was $12. It does have a tear in it. I feel like they should have marked it down more. That store is so interesting. It's like mildly stressful in there.
It's crazy.
It is. It's like one of those used bookstores that like has just mountains and mountains of books, and you like actually kind of can't see stuff. Like you feel like if you move one thing, the whole and while I was there, 2 people toppled stacks over. I also heard a photographer come in and was like, "Can I take photos in here? Because it is like beautifully aesthetically."
But they hate that.
And the owner was like, "No, we have multiple signs, no photos." And the guy was like, "Oh, okay, sorry. I'm glad I asked." And he was like, "We just don't want it recorded, you know?"
But you know what's funny about that is that bookstore is in the final scene of the movie Everything Everything. So if anybody wants to see the inside of this bookstore, just watch the last couple of minutes of Everything Everything.
That's
they let it
so
be in a movie.
Funny.
I went and saw that movie at the theater and was like, "That's McLeod's." Like, what the heck?
That's so funny. Anyway, so I got this, and I think Connor bought a book there, I think. And then we went to Massey Books, obviously. I think that's my favorite bookshop in Vancouver.
It's the best. Like, I love it. Every time I go to Vancouver, that's the one that I have to go to if I could only go to one.
It's so tall.
It really is. That's the only downside. It's like, I can't reach all the books, but
this is so tall. It's so epic in there. It's so beautiful. The only thing that I would say about Vancouver bookstores, none of them have air conditioning.
Oh my God.
I don't know what the hell that's
so hot
about.
In that store in the summertime.
Massey's was hot. Because it's so tall. So like all of the heat is just in a tunnel there. Anyway, that was hot. McLeod's was hot. Paper Hound was actually too hot. That's why we left so fast. We were like, we're really hot in here. So like, we were like, what's with Vancouver? Where's the air conditioning? Also, we had to go to Best Buy so I could buy an adapter. No air conditioning in there. I don't know what's going on with Vancouver.
Crazy place, man. That's why I don't go there.
Broken. But yeah, so at Massey's, Connor also found a book there, and this is one of those little impulse purchases in your life where you're like, okay. I got The Toilers of the Sea by Victor Hugo, which is, I just was very attracted to how small and cute this little book is. You know, I love a handy book, you know, that like, but like without the dust jacket, this is so pretty.
Wow.
So, oh God. Love it. I love this kind of little, like, really fits in the hand.
Yeah.
You can really read this with one hand perfectly. It's got insanely good flop.
Yeah.
It's, oh my God, it was an aesthetic purchase. But yeah, it's about this guy who, it sounds so good, Raylene. It's about this guy who basically like loves this girl and he wants to marry her, but he's kind of poor. And her dad is like, you can only marry her if you fix my ship.
Oh my God.
So it's a boat book.
It's 100% a boat book.
And he spends a year fixing a boat or something. And I'm just like, this sounds so good.
I've never even heard of that. That's crazy.
I know, me neither. Toilers of the Sea. So this sounds amazing. And then we got on the train. Rode the train. And then we were in... Oh, yes. So then we stopped in Winnipeg. Okay. And when we stopped in Winnipeg, we got off the train and we're near this like cool market, Forks Market. Oh my God, I took a really good photo I have to send you. That was like a little joke about, it was me standing near a Forks sign. I'm like holding my eyes up, like trying to find, and the caption that I was going to send you, I don't know why I didn't send this, was, where are the Cullens at?
Yeah. Anyways. I was thinking, where's Edward?
Yeah.
Where is he?
Yeah, where's Edward?
I love that.
So anyway, I'll send that later, but there's like the Forks Park and a Forks market, and we got to just walk around. And we were walking around this really cool market, like kind of an indoor market. It's indoor because it's Canada, and we don't really have open air markets because it snows half the year, especially in Winnipeg, such a snowy place. So anyways, a beautiful indoor market with lots of stalls and lots of like cute shops. And upstairs, I was so unbelievably excited. Connor was like, we should go upstairs. I was like, I think it might be closed up there. He's like, let's just go look. And we go upstairs, and as we're going up the stairs, I like literally freaked out because there's a McNally Robinson there.
Whoa.
This is very interesting because you guys may know McNally Jackson is my favorite bookshop, like group of bookshops in New York. And I believe McNally Seaport, the Seaport location in the like the very southern tip of Manhattan, to be the greatest bookshop in New York. That's my take. We can all have our takes. That's my take. What people may not know is that the woman who started McNally Jackson, her mom started bookshops in Winnipeg.
Whoa.
McNally
so
Robinson.
Wow.
And so when she was in New York and she was like, I want to start a business, I'm going to start a bookshop, she kind of was able to have some help from her parents to start her first bookshop. But then she named it McNally Jackson after the last name of her ex-husband. But also, she says it's because of her son. I don't know. It's very complicated. What's also funny is that her mom named it McNally Robinson because Robinson was her business partner at the time, and they fell out.
Of course.
So both mother and daughter have these like amazing bookshops with a random name attached. Anyway, that's very interesting. But I was so excited. I was like, Connor, this is like the mothership. Like, this is kind of where it all started. We have to go. And they only were open for another 10 minutes, but it was such a great shop. We had such a great, like maybe 15 minutes. We had such a great time in the shop. There were so many cool things. And I was like overwhelmed. And then I kind of impulse bought some stuff because of the time. I was just like, I'll just buy
gotta do it.
So first up, I bought A Truce That Is Not Peace by Miriam Taves. So this is kind of like that book that you bought by the Whitaker person where you're like, I already own books I haven't read by this person, but why not another one?
Yeah, why not?
I own A Complicated Kindness by Miriam Taves, which I've been wanting to read for a while. This is her new memoir that just came out. And I was like, I love reading a novelist's nonfiction and then never reading their fiction.
Yeah,
maybe I'll give that a shot. But yeah, really pretty edition, and it's signed.
Got a boat on the cover.
Yeah, I was happy to do that. Then I got The Serviceberry by Robin Wall Kimmerer, which Robin Wall Kimmerer is like this huge Canadian author. Everyone loves Braiding Sweetgrass, but I've never read Braiding Sweetgrass. I haven't read this one. Have you read Braiding Sweetgrass?
I haven't read anything yet. I've been meaning to, though, and she has a book about moss that was everyone was telling me to read it last year after I went camping. But I haven't read
Gathering Moss? Is that what it's called? Yeah, she's huge. CJ read Braiding Sweetgrass and really enjoyed it. So anyways, I was like, I'm going to get this one.
Yeah.
So I've got that now. And finally, I got this book, Log Off by Catherine Cross, which, appealed to me because I'm always curious about books about social media, books about like getting offline. And this is by Little Puss Press, which is run by two trans women, and the author is a trans woman. And I was like, that's a really great perspective on the internet and on social media that I haven't really read about. Let me check this out. Spoilers for next episode. I read this entirely on the train really fast. It was very readable. I found it really interesting. I don't agree with everything that's in this book, but I really pulled out some great ideas and I really enjoyed it. It was very, like I said, very readable. So I'll talk a lot more about this in the next episode, but that one was a cool find.
Heck yeah.
Then we got to Toronto. Well, then we got back on the train. We made it to Toronto. And in Toronto, we went to... Am I mixing this up? Why am I imagining that this happened in Ottawa? This book is from Ottawa.
Whoa.
This isn't from Toronto. This is from Ottawa the week before the wedding. Yes, and I need to talk about this right now. I need to talk about this. Little time warp here, you guys. Remember I went to that wedding before my wedding. It was in Ottawa. I was so excited to go back to the big chapters near the Rideau Center.
Okay.
Just for nostalgia's sake, I just wanted to walk through it because that's where Connor and I had our first kiss. So I just was on the honeymoon wedding. I just wanted to walk through. They closed it. It's not there anymore. They moved it into the mall. It's now a tiny little...
No.
Really scary stuff. Anyways, I just had to mention that. We also went to some other bookshops, and what other bookshops did we go to? We went to some in town. I didn't get out to Black Squirrel Books, which I really wanted to do, but I just didn't have time. I don't remember where I bought this book, but I picked up I Feel Bad About My Neck by Nora Ephron. Nice. Have you read this one?
No, but I really should. It's one that's been on my radar for a really long time, and yeah, I feel like I would like it. I feel like it's something I need to read.
I've been curious about this one for a long time. I love Nora Ephron because like she has written so many and like directed so many of the movies that I love, like When Harry Met Sally and stuff. And I was just like, I started reading it in the bookshop and I was like, I gotta get this one. Gotta get it. So I got that one. Wow. I only have one book left. It's pretty exciting. This one I also got after, this was not part of the honeymoon, but I just got it because Michael at the bookshop recommended it when I told him all about the honeymoon. He was like, you need to read The Sleeping Car Porter by Suzette Mayer. Have you read this one?
No, but I see that one all the time.
Right?
Yeah.
Me too. And so when he mentioned it, I was like, okay, actually, I do want to check that out because I see it all the time. And it's published by our friends over at Coach House Books, who we like. And it says, it's 1929 and Baxter is considered lucky as a black man to have a job as a sleeping car porter on a train that crisscrosses the continent. And so he's literally working on the train I took. It's a Canadian book. It's set on the train I took. And so, yeah, this sounds really, really cool. It says, on this particular trip west, the passengers are more unruly than usual, especially when the train is stranded for days in the mountains. The passengers' secrets start to leak out and blur with the sleep deprivation hallucinations that Baxter is having.
Oh my God.
So anyway, it just sounds really, really cool. So topical to my trip.
Seriously. That is weirdly perfect.
Weirdly perfect. So I was excited for that bookseller recommendation. And then I didn't buy any books in Quebec City because we went to a bunch of bookshops. We also went to a bunch of libraries because there's really beautiful converted churches that are like now libraries in Quebec City. But all the books were in French because it's Quebec. And so we didn't buy any books there. And then we made it back home and I obviously haven't bought any books. So
wow,
I got quite a stack here. But I know you still have a couple to talk about.
I do still have a couple to talk about. Alrighty, so I have just a couple of two little separate stacks here. The first one is just one book. But when we were in Nova Scotia, like I mentioned, we had that day that you got married where we had just like a few hours to kill in the morning because the wedding wasn't until 5 o'clock. And so we were like, well, what are we going to do? And last year you had taken us to this cool little board game store and like a little kind of like a cool little shop that's really close to it, which are just like on the outskirts of Lunenburg or really close to Lunenburg anyway. And we drove past them to like when we were coming in and we were like, oh, we have to go there tomorrow. And so that morning we were like, well, we may as well go there. And actually though, to take it back even further, the place where we were staying was really cool. And I've been wanting to tell you about this. The Airbnb we stayed at was like a little like guest house that was right next to these people like who own the guest house. They live there and they have like this greenhouse and gift shop, which would like we didn't know about this when we booked the place. We just thought it was a room. And so when we showed up, we were like, what is this strange place that we're staying in? And so the next morning we were like, we've got to go to this gift shop and find out what the hell it is. And so we go down and like I said, there's this big greenhouse and they like have exotic fruits. Like they have this like jungle of exotic fruits inside of a greenhouse. And you can do tours there. We didn't have time to do the tour, but I think you should check it out. I took home a pamphlet so that I could send you a picture of it because this place looks pretty freaking cool. And so the gift shop has a bunch of like fruit-themed stuff. Like, so that's like kind of the first level of it. So they've got like, you know, pillows shaped like limes and stuff like that. Like all sorts of funny stuff. But they also have all these really beautiful stained glass lamps and like stained glass like, window hangings and stuff. And they had these little glass duck figurines, which is why I gave you a duck, and I also have a duck because they had two. They had two ducks there, and I was like, I have to get these two ducks. And so it was just such a weird little cool place. So we really enjoyed that. But then after we were done there, we were like, okay, let's go to the board game store. So we went to the board game store and kind of just kicked around. Didn't buy anything there because obviously we're like, we can't fit a board game in our suitcase, but we just wanted to look around. But while we were there, the gentleman at the store was like, we were just chatting with him. Like he was asking why we were in town and stuff. And we told him we were from Calgary. And he was like, have you guys been to the Sentry Box yet? And we were like, the what? And he's like, it's the biggest board game store in Canada. You guys should go. It's in Calgary. And we were like, what?
Oh, wow. Of course he would know. That's
exactly.
So cool.
He's like a board game master. Like, he knew everything. And so he was like, hey, you guys have got to go there. And so we were like, well, we will. And so a couple of days after we got back, we went, and it was incredible. It's this massive store. They also have like a card game shop that's like attached to it. So if you want to go for specific like card stuff, they have like a whole room where you can go and play, and like it's really cool. And at the board game store, they also have like an upper level where you can like play your board games and like bring games to play and stuff. So that was really cool. But they also had a massive book selection. And
that's so interesting.
It was like the biggest sci-fi fantasy collection I've ever seen at a bookstore, because the whole section was just sci-fi fantasy books and like, you know, D&D books and all that kind of stuff. Like, they had such a cool selection, and I was like, I have to find a book here. Like, I'm gonna keep looking until I find something. And I came across a book that I've been kind of like wanting to get for a long time, and so I ended up grabbing it, and that's Lock In by John Scalzi. So this sounds really cool. I'm just going to read the first paragraph of the back because I don't even know how to explain this. A new, highly contagious virus makes its way across the globe. For most of those infected, it's just a few days of fever and misery. But for the unlucky 1%, millions of people in the United States alone, the disease causes lock-in. Victims are fully awake and aware, but unable to move or respond to anything. Lock-in syndrome strikes the young and the old, the rich and the poor, people of every color and kind. And then it says it takes place a quarter of a century later. So this is when it's like this phenomenon has been going on for a long time. And I'm like, my God, that sounds crazy.
Yeah,
and that sounds exciting. So I've never read a book by him, but also there's a blurb on the front that says, this is the kind of thriller that Michael Crichton, Lincoln Child, and James Rollins do so well. Add John Scalzi to that list. And I'm like, bro, I just read Jurassic Park and freaking loved it. That clinched it for me. I was like, if this is anything like Michael Crichton, I want to read it. So I grabbed that, and I also grabbed a board game at the store, and I bought some other cool little gifts for my friends. So it was kind of just like an excellent store that I now want to take everyone to. It's one of those places where I'm like, okay, when you visit, I'm taking you to the board game store.
It's so fun to discover those. Where you're like, everyone that's coming, I'm taking them here because this thing is like so special or impressive or unique or whatever.
Exactly. It feels nice to have something more than just the zoo now, because up until now, like the zoo is the only place I've had where I'm like, well, I gotta take you there. And now we have the Sentry Box as well. So huge shout out to that store. It was so cool. And they also had like video games and like, you know, vintage video games and stuff. So now I'm like, oh man, I've got so many N64 games I need to buy, and I want to buy GameCube. Like, man, it took me back. It was such a such a cool store. But then after that, I mean, I've just been, you know, living life, just kind of recuperating from all the traveling, and I put in an order at Page's Bookstore, my new favorite local bookstore, and I just like was waiting for them to be ready, and a few days ago they were ready, and so I went to go pick them up. So the books that I ordered were The Lost World by Michael Crichton.
Oh my God, so cool.
Guys, this is how much I love Jurassic Park. I can't remember if I've even talked about Jurassic Park. Like, I don't remember if I talked about finishing it on the podcast.
No,
but
you were reading it the last time that we recorded. So.
Yeah. It was the book of the summer for me, for sure. Like, that book has changed me in ways that I wasn't expecting. I am now like obsessed with dinosaurs. Not really, but like I had so much fun reading that book, and so I was like, I've got to know what happens next, because the way that the first book ends is different from how the first movie ends. I just rewatched the movie, and I was like, how is this gonna turn into a sequel? It just doesn't make sense. I've got to know. So I picked up that one, and another one I picked up is The Yellow Wallpaper and Other Writings by Charlotte Perkins Gilman in this beautiful edition that you had on the book truck. Which is why I bought it. And I bought this because of you, because you mentioned this recently. I don't know if it was during like a recommendation video or something. The whole past month has been a blur, but you mentioned this sometime, and you convinced me that I needed to buy it. I was like, wait, I need that book. And so I ordered this specific edition because it has a bunch of other stories and poems as well, I think. Cool. Maybe essays. Like, it's just a whole bunch of cool stuff. And I've never read The Yellow Wallpaper, so I am just excited to have that now and read it. However, when I was at Page's Bookstore, I looked around a little. Sue me. So before I went and grabbed my books from the front, I was like, I'm just going to look around a little. And especially because it is September now, it is fall, I was like, I kind of want to, I want to like maybe find a little fall read. So that was kind of my goal. But first thing when you walk into Pages Bookstore, they have this amazing display of a bunch of like new releases that are just facing forward. And I always peek at that first because there's interesting stuff there. And I came across this book that I had never heard of, and I just decided to grab it without really looking too deep into it. And so that book is Sympathy Tower Tokyo by Rie Kudan. And this one, I mean, it sounds really cool. On the back, it says, "Welcome to the Japan of tomorrow. Here, the practice of radical sympathy toward criminals has become normalized. A grand yet controversial skyscraper in the heart of Tokyo is planned to house lawbreakers in compassionate comfort. Sympathy Tower Tokyo." And this is like, I think from the perspective of the architect who designed this building.
Oh, cool.
And I don't know, there's just something about it. It's a cute little book. I've never heard of it.
Yep.
Something about it reminded me of Tokyo Ueno Station. I'm like, maybe this is like the redemption arc for books that have similar titles like that. And I don't know, I just decided to take a chance on it without really knowing too much about it. So that one is exciting. And then the next book I got was from the horror section. The reason I browsed, the reason I kept looking. And another one that I had never heard of though. And so this is kind of a fun find for me. So this one is called The Hunger We Pass Down by Jen Sukfong Lee. And this is by a author from Vancouver, actually, which I discovered after I had already decided to buy it. I was like, oh, let's just take a look at the author. And she's from Vancouver, which is really cool. Perfect. So this one is, it's about like a woman who has a couple of kids. She's married and she's kind of just like tired with life. And like, she always has, you know, like the dishes are never done, the laundry is never done, I have to do everything. And then suddenly she wakes up one morning and like everything is just kind of done. And she's like, but I didn't do it. And she like asks her kids and they're like, I didn't do it. And so it's kind of like is it a ghost story? It's kind of like spooky, haunted house vibes maybe. I'm really excited about it. It sounds really cool. And it's like brand new. I think it just came out.
That's really cool.
Yeah.
I had a similar moment to that.
Ooh, okay.
Let me tell you about this real quick. So Claire was visiting and her husband, Ben, who I love, and it was me and Connor in the house. My mom and dad had gone for the day.
Okay.
And they told us to feed Max. Because Max is technically my mom's cat, so my mom feeds Max every day. But obviously when she's gone, I feed Max, or Connor feeds Max. So we were told, feed Max at 6 o'clock.
Okay.
No problem. 6:02, I look at my clock, I'm like, oh, it's time to feed Max. And I'm a little surprised because Max isn't screaming. And she usually meows a lot when it's food time. Like she's like, she knows what time it is, she wants to eat. So I'm like, okay, that's a little surprising, but I'm sure once I start walking down the stairs, like she's gonna book it after me. I make it to the bottom of the stairs, she's not there. And I'm like, this is so weird. I guess when I open the can of food, that's when she'll appear. I turn the corner to grab her little food bowl. She's there eating her canned food. And I was like, okay, that doesn't make any sense whatsoever because I'm supposed to feed Max today.
Yeah.
And she's somehow eating her food out of her little bowl. It's not like she spilled it and then there's like eating it on the ground, like sneakily. No, she's just like eating her food out of her bowl. I'm like, okay, Connor must have fed her. So I call out to Connor and he's like upstairs somewhere or something. And I was like, did you feed Max? And he's like, no. Was I supposed to? Is it her time? And I'm like, no, she's eating right now. And we were like, would Claire and Ben have fed Max? Like, that's so weird. Like, why would they feed our cat? We've never told them how. Like, that doesn't make any sense. But I'm like, there's no one else in the house. Yeah. So I go to Claire and Ben and I'm like, did you guys feed Max? And they're like, no. And I was like, okay, now I'm creeped out.
Oh, what the hell?
I'm actually creeped out. I'm like, how the hell is Max eating her dinner? I didn't feed her. Connor didn't feed her. It's like a mystery, a horror novel, right? We're like, I know all the suspects and none of us did it. Who did it? Like, I actually felt fear in my heart for a minute. I was like,
it's spooky.
I was like, did Max figure out how to open
She's
the
like,
cat?
I'm like, do this enough times.
I'm like, I literally don't understand how this is possible. And then Ben says, is that your dad's car in the driveway? Are they back? And I'm like, that doesn't make any sense.
Whoa.
How would they have gotten back and I not heard them come into the house and into their room or whatever? Like, they always say hi. That I'm like, really, like, I was so freaked out. Really, I go up and I open their room door and both of my parents are like, hey. And I'm like, when did you guys get back? And they're
in.
they're like 15 minutes ago, but we saw that you guys were doing something, so we didn't want to interrupt. And I was like, did you feed Max? And they're like, yeah. And I was like, wow.
That's crazy. Your parents were your ghosts in the house.
They were my ghosts in the house. It was crazy.
That's crazy. Wow. What are the chances of all that?
I know.
What a beautiful place to end it.
Well, everyone, this has been a big episode, but it was a long time coming. You know, we've been so excited to record this in many ways because we were so excited to experience all of these things, and we've done it. And now, like I said, the back to school vibes are real. Like, I feel like it's a whole new chapter. We've really flipped a big page in the book, because for over a year, I've been thinking about planning, scheming the wedding and the honeymoon. And now it happened. And it was beautiful and it was perfect. And I loved it so much. But it's done now. And I actually felt, get this, Raylene, I feel rejuvenated after my honeymoon.
Thank God. I'm glad.
Because, you know, I often have the feeling of like, I need a vacation from my vacation. I don't feel that this time. It was a really long trip, and it was largely very restful.
Yeah.
Like I said, I got to take a nap every single day. I got to just, most of that trip was like us staring out into the beautiful Canadian wilderness and just chatting or sitting in silence or reading or writing. Like, it was very calming and peaceful. And especially the last day on the train, I had 2 naps.
Oh my God.
Like, we slept so much and just like really like rejuvenated. And like, when I was talking to my brother and he was like, do you feel like it was a good come down from the wedding? And I was like, that's exactly what it was like. It was like a really peaceful way to cool off from everything and process everything and look at all the photos a lot of times, and then do something new, but something very calm.
Yeah.
And like get home and feel like ready for the next thing. And now we're like over a week into September. The leaves are starting to change. Like, the weather has really dropped here. Like, it's 21 today. It's supposed to be 20, 19, 18 the rest of the week. And so I'm just like, it's cooling down. I'm back to work, and I'm really excited for like the next few months. So anyways, thank you so much to everyone for listening to this episode, and we hope that you enjoyed our huge haul. You may be thinking, did these chicas even read? We did, but if we fit reviews into this thing too, it would be way too long.
That would be crazy.
It would be crazy. So next week, we are going to be doing a big reading update. What was everything? What did we read? What did we feel about it? What are we currently reading? And also, Raylene, I realized we need to do next week the end of the year book tag. Because it's exactly the right time to do it. So we're going to squeeze that in next week, or like next episode. And I've been thinking about this for like 2 years.
Okay.
I'm going to update the questions.
I
made that tag.
Go.
I made that tag, so I'm allowed to do that. I made it like a decade ago or something like that, like 7 years ago. And so I've always wanted to tweak some of the questions and add some stuff. So I am going to update the end of the year book tag.
Okay.
And we're going to do that next episode. We are now shifting to an every other week episode schedule. And so you won't get an episode next week, but you'll get an episode the week after that, unless you're a patron. In that case, you'll still be getting weekly content from us. So we're going to go right now and record a question vase. While we've been away, we have gotten a bunch of questions about the wedding, our trips, and other things. And so we're going to be doing a huge update about that.
Yeah.
So you can check that out on the Patreon. And we also want to just give a huge shout out to all of our patrons. We took a full month off of the Patreon. We've never done that before. We paused it, so no one got charged. But now we're back. Now we're releasing content again. And everyone was we were nervous. We were a little nervous to take a whole month off.
Yeah.
Everyone was so gracious about it. And they were like, go. Take a break, go on vacation, have fun. And like, we did. We actually did. We really took that month off. It was really, really restorative in a great way. So we're really excited to be back, but we're also just grateful to everyone for being so kind and really enthusiastic and supportive. So it feels good to be back, and especially it feels good to be back after a truly great break.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
So
I agree.
Thank you so much to our patrons. If you want to become a patron, you can check out the link in our description. It's patreon.com/booksunbound. Is that right? Or does it have podcast in the title?
No. That's right.
I think it's just Books Unbound, but it's also linked everywhere. So thank you guys so much. We will talk to you in the next episode. Bye.
Bye.